Hello and welcome to the video. So on this channel I want to make a lot of videos about crazy abstract mathematics. And I also want to make videos about mathematics where they can give us important insights and understandings of the world. And one of those things is about democracy. Now usually we would say a country is a democracy or is not a democracy. But that's not very detailed, and that doesn't really, like, what does that say precisely? It doesn't precisely say a lot. So I like to think about it as what are the properties? What are the democratic properties or not undemocratic properties? And sometimes we can even quantify those properties. And here's one of those examples. This is about gerrymandering. What it is and how it works, and just like the very basic mathematics. So say we have 10 districts, each with 100 people in it. So that's 1,000 people total. Now, to win the election, we don't actually require having more than half of the total vote. We just need to win more than half of the districts. And to win a single district, we just need more than half of the votes in that district. So, in this case, to win the election, I would need 6 out of the 10 districts won, at least. And within a district, I would need 51 of the votes, at least. So the question is, at minimum, how many votes do I need to win the election? I've drawn it out here. So I need 51 votes here to win this district, and then 51, 51, 51, 51, 51. So that's 6 districts won, and at that point, I'm done. I've won. So it could have been that the other 49 in each case were votes against me, say, and then in the other 4 districts, I didn't get a single vote. But in this situation, I've still won. And how many votes did I get? Well, 51 times 6 is 305. So I've won the election with 305 out of 1,000 of the votes. And in general, for X number of districts, each with Y number of people, and they're each voting on one of 2 options, you only need just over 25% of the vote in a sort of limiting case. So you can always find an example where 25.1% is enough. You can always find an example where 25.01% is enough, and so on. Gerrymandering is where you choose the districts to make votes for you more important on average and votes against you less important on average. So I gave it a try. I just put 40 O's and 60 X's down on a piece of paper. All of these lines, these districts that I drew those later, so I didn't draw those at first. At first it was just the circles and the X's. And my goal was to draw the districts, 5 districts, in such a way that I would win the election if I'm the circle group or whatever. So I'm trying to win the election with only 40 out of 60 of the votes. Well, I was able to do it easily. And the way I did it was that I drew the districts to where I just barely win these, right? This is 11 to 9, this is 11 to 9, this is 11 to 9. So that's 3 out of 5 of the districts that I've won. And in each of these districts, I just barely won. If I had even more circles than 11 in here, then each circle after 11 isn't doing me any favors. It's not helping me anymore. It's sort of being wasted. I would rather those circles go to some other district. And the other idea is that you want to pack in the votes against you as much as you possibly can, because once they, of course they're going to win that district, but they're going to overkill it, right? They don't just have more than half the votes, they have like way more than half the votes, and all of those extra votes aren't helping them any further. And my goal was actually to draw the districts not just like that, but in a way that looks kind of natural. So you can see I didn't really like draw like weird crazy shapes in here. You know, it looks fairly natural in here. And in fact, I did so well that these 7 circles, I didn't even end up needing them to win the election.
Gerrymandering does actually have enormous physical consequences. It can affect who gets elected across districts, but it can also affect who gets elected in each district, which means you could end up with a different body of representatives that is biased towards one party. Even if the same party wins a district that would have won anyway, even without gerrymandering, it still matters because it might be someone different who won that district, someone with different policy goals. And also, politicians just aren't going to care as much about the interest of people's votes when those votes are less valuable because of gerrymandering. There's gerrymandering based on party affiliation. It can be based on income. In America, there's racial gerrymandering, which often targets Black and Hispanic people, among others, and that reduces the power of their vote. In fact, there is gerrymandering for school attendance zones and school districts, and this worsens racial segregation between Black/Hispanic people and white people. This is also going to affect school funding inequality. And I think that's everything I want to talk about right now. So if you have any thoughts or comments or questions, feel free to ask. Thank you for taking an interest in this, and take care.